Hello, Gene Schwimmer here. Welcome to today's vlog. I should comment on Joe Biden's speech to the nation that he gave the day before I'm recording this. He gave it yesterday, Thursday. Today is Friday. I really have only two comments. I've been doing these Joe Biden dementia updates, his refusal to take questions from the press. It was just more of the same yesterday. I think just his delivery was better. I'll say that, to be fair, better than some of the things that he's said earlier. But again, he just walked away when he was done without taking any questions, which, again, to be fair, in that kind of a setting, that kind of a formal speech, I don't know if Trump took questions, so that may not be fair, but it's just a symptom in this case because the press shouted questions at him. It's just another opportunity where they asked questions and he refused to answer. It wouldn't matter so much if he had already been doing press conferences, had been answering questions as Trump always did. So that was one impression. My second impression, briefly, is the nature of the speech. It reminded, this is going to sound kind of odd, but it reminded me of Winston Churchill's blood, sweat, and tears speech. If you've never heard it, if you're some young person educated in our public education system, you may not know about it because Winston Churchill is supposed to be a racist now. Maybe people don't even study him or students don't study him anymore in high school or earlier. But we did in my generation, and the blood, sweat, toil, and tears was the speech that he gave right in the beginning of World War II, meant to inspire, and it did, the British people, but also to tell them what lay ahead.
I would say to the House, as I said to those who have joined the government, I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat. We have before us an ordeal of the most grievous kind. We have before us many, many long months of struggle and of suffering. You ask, what is our aim? I can answer in one word: victory. Victory at all costs. Victory in spite of all terror. Victory however long and hard the road may be.
This was a speech that he gave in This was a speech that Churchill gave at the onset, the beginning of World War II, when he could he could only promise blood, sweat, and tears, that he was just leveling with the British people that there was a long slog ahead, that it would be years of blood, sweat, and toil and tears. The problem with Biden's speech is, imagine if Winston Churchill had given that speech in, say, February or March of 1945. Same speech. Do you see how it would have been a kind of a ridiculous speech to give then? Because the war was almost over. The war was as good as won. The Germans, even the Germans, knew that they had lost. Well, Hitler didn't know. He didn't want to admit it, or he was in denial. But his generals knew that the war had been lost. They were already putting feelers out to the Americans. Their only decision was to whom to surrender to the Russians or surrender to us. Obviously, they preferred to surrender to us. The major problem I have with Biden's speech, the substance of the speech that he gave last night, is that he gave it last night. It's the timing that is, for me, a major problem. He could have given that speech. It would have been much more appropriate to have given it a year ago, had he been president a year ago, when we were realizing that the coronavirus pandemic was going to be more serious than we originally thought, or more serious definitely than Joe Biden and the Democrats thought, ironically. They were, Nancy Pelosi, there was a photo op of Nancy Pelosi in San Francisco's Chinatown. De Blasio saying in New York that there was no need to take any precautions, that Trump was exaggerating the problem, just as they're probably saying right now, or we're saying that Trump was exaggerating about immigration. So Biden, quick aside here, basically just reversed everything that Trump did, and it's a crisis, and they're in denial about it, but it is undeniably a crisis. But I digress. Getting back to Biden's speech, we can compare Florida and New York. New York's restrictions were much more stringent than Florida's, but Florida did better, coped better with coronavirus, suffered fewer ill effects, and I'm not talking just about the effects of the virus itself, but the effects of the lockdowns, the increased drug use, the businesses closing forever, the suicides, the increase in the suicide rates, including, I understand, suicides by children. Florida did much better, and we can say today, maybe this will be the subject of a future vlog, we could say today that there is no scientific evidence that the lockdowns helped, that they were, if you do a cost benefit, that they were overall an advantage, that fewer people died with all these lockdowns than would have died had there been no lockdowns, when you take into consideration these suicides and the overdoses from drugs and so on and so on. But he talked yesterday, talking about paying attention to the science. He said, well, maybe we could gather in small groups by July 4th. What is the scientific basis of using the July 4th date? That's Independence Day. I don't know where the science is there in relation to coronavirus or any kind of scientific or medical question, but, well, maybe the number of people who maybe would be hurt by fireworks on 4th of July. The speech makes no sense when he gave it. He is basically trying to be Winston Churchill and just exaggerating this crisis that is virtually over, trying to scare us. Well, somebody used the term panic porn. Panic porn. He's promulgating panic porn that the liberals seem to love, to have us constantly in a state of emergency, constantly following these restrictions. Well, they love it when people are restricted, when people, if they had their way, I'm only half tongue-in-cheek that they would love to go back to the old days of the Mao years of communist China. We would all be wearing Mao suits, calling each other comrade, punishing dissenters, making them wear dunce caps with signs of their thought crimes hanging around their necks before they're taken out and shot. There are some liberals who would, I could, if I took time, dig up some quotes that I actually read about liberals calling for Trump supporters to be put into re-education camps or to be re-educated. That's it for today. See you all again soon. Gotta run. If you could give me a thumbs up if you like this video, that would really be great. Share with anybody you think would also like the video. Got any comments? Comment section below the video where you can put questions, suggestions for future topics. You could subscribe. I love getting new subscribers. You can visit my music channel, my cooking channel, links in the description. You could also, well, just know how much I appreciate you spending your time with me. I really do appreciate it. I look forward to seeing all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.